coming up shortly. Joining with me this time round is Flea, very fresh from the A stream with that match between Cypher versus Xenoku, and that was very tight to say the least, especially that final moment, getting that final frag. Of course, of all people, Cypher is going to be able to come back from that, isn't he? Not really too much of a surprise there. And let's get into this matchup anyway between DaHanG versus GaRpY. We know that GaRpY has managed to beat Pasita early on in the first opening match of yesterday, and now currently both in the losers bracket, both of them trying to make that run. But we must say DaHanG's had a brutal bracket from what we saw from winner side, and as soon as he dropped down into losers, had to deal with Nosfer straight off the bat. It's been very tough, very difficult for him. Now he's got to come up against GaRpY, where I do feel like GaRpY is playing well this tournament compared to he's done in previous weeks and last stage finals. But yeah, it's a big ask here for GaRpY. But have a bit of faith, but we'll see what he can do against DaHanG.
Yeah, indeed. This is going to be a difficult matchup for GaRpY. He went up against Rafa after winning his relegation match against Pasita, and now he's dropped down here against the other man on Team Liquid. It's like a curse for GaRpY by now. Let's see what he can do. So the picks and bans, Lethal, let me take a look. You've already looked at them earlier. I only just jumped into the B stream, but it looks like we're going to be playing Exile, Veil, and then finally Ruins, Sordak versus Scale, Keel versus Death Knight, and then BJ versus Anarchy.
I think with the first map on Exile, both players are very keen on Exile. It's one of their go-to maps. We know that GaRpY's good on Deep Embrace and Exile, but DaHanG's also very good on Exile, one of his better maps. So I think both of them are quite keen to start this off with a bit of flair, and then, like you said, we do have Veil, which is DaHanG's pick. But a lot of these maps, I do think, favour DaHanG here, not trying to make matters worse for GaRpY, of course. But yeah, we'll have to see what he can do. And in terms of servers, I think we're going to be on NA East, then EU West, then NA East, which is how we're going to kick things off. And we're going to see what they can do in all fairness. But yeah, GaRpY's just got to have a lot of caution around how DaHanG's going to play around him. We know that he's one of the best adaptable players here on the circuit. He's been looking really fresh. His combat skills, his adaptation. He's had a lot of pieces to the puzzle here, and I think he's going to be pretty happy knowing that now he's taking down Nosfer, he's going to be pretty confident with the rest of his bracket run. That's if he gets through GaRpY here, as it will be the Sorlag versus the Scales. So some heavy hitters here coming into this first map. And like I said before, Exile, both players will be very happy with this first pick. So DaHanG, with that heavy spawn, decides to go for the rockets first and drops down for the heavy. Going to continue on with his PFV to see what shenanigans he's going to be up to.
Pretty slow start. Gotta be careful. Two big body heavy champions going up against each other. One misstep could easily result in one of those heavy abilities knocking you up against the wall, getting you covered in that toxic, and deciding the matchup for you. Bit of a long distance fight. Problem is, GaRpY is the one missing out on it. Nice rocket though, that's going to help him significantly. I love how he's projecting force across the map. GaRpY is, at least, right? He knows that Mega is up behind him, so what does he do? He goes on the offense, wants to punish DaHanG for picking up the heavy, reduce that stack, and then have something nice for him to fall back on. Good rockets, that's exactly what GaRpY's known for. The beautiful rockets. The British Bulldog is going to chase down the lizard, and DaHanG falls.
Okay, well, this is why I call him the Rocket Man, because he does some fabulous plays with the rockets, just mainly for defensive purposes, but some of the directs and some of the damage he actually deals with it's just beyond a lot of people's comprehension, but it's what he's known for. Again, another direct. He's going to be going straight forward into the bull rush, doesn't actually hit it off, but instead DaHanG comes up with the super shotty to tie the lead, realises that GaRpY spawned directly underneath him. Hits the first rails. Could be quite keen to see if he goes for the TP, which he does, and that's going to be free for DaHanG. Is going to be pretty pleased about that, pretty confident in terms of his aim skill. Closing him out with the Elgin. Already things have escalated ever so slightly. 3-1 in favour of DaHanG. Decides to pass off the kill rather than the heavy, which is perfectly understandable. Oh, just misses that rail only by the slightest of margin. Heavy's still up. It's been up for like these 15 seconds, and DaHanG has played this perfectly.
GaRpY finding no reprieve, it seems, just always running. Had a good start, but the read from the Liquid player is immaculate. The rails are on point as well, and GaRpY will drop yet another frag. of the spawn, actually sending him straight up to the second floor of Exile. Now that was one rocket to remember. The super shot he deals a decent amount of damage, but it won't be enough. He gets a good spawn though. That's very favorable for GaRpY. Gets the spawn straight onto the heavy. Picks up LG as well, and now takes the fight to DaHanG. It's LG on LG. Who hits the most? And it will be GaRpY with the clutch switch to the shotty.
I love that as well. If he didn't use that bull rush, he definitely would not have gone to the health bubble in time.
Quick
Still
thinking.
trying to get away with for his dear life. 53 HP. Just needs to stay alive long enough to pick up this Mega. He's going to get the light first, just to be as proactive as possible. But saying that though, it does mean that DaHanG's still chasing him down. I like this from DaHanG, just making these plays which are pretty much unexpected. Both items have been up for a while, which is not something you see every day. Some decent rockets there. DaHanG's going to back away. He knows he's not in a position to bag the Mega, but at least he can try and contest it to the best of his ability with that crucial damage from the rail area. Still though, 3.5 minutes in, already 6-2 in favour of DaHanG. Let's see what GaRpY can do to retaliate.
I think the biggest difference so far has just been the map awareness. DaHanG has been so clutch at figuring out where GaRpY is at, landing predictive damage, getting away scot-free while still hurting his opponent. And GaRpY just hasn't been able to rival that, and that has allowed DaHanG to get most of the items so far, as well as do most of the damage, just being so aware and knowledgeable about where his opponent is going to be and punishing him. Here we go, GaRpY actually closing the gap, dropping down in a place that DaHanG was absolutely not expecting. I think DaHanG was expecting him to either just walk to the left or right or drop straight forward, but not backwards off the bridge. That's a good play from GaRpY. He has an opportunity here because Heavy spawns at a convenient time as well, and DaHanG is still barely sitting at 50 points of health.
GaRpY backs away for now. Still feel like GaRpY's playing really well. I'm sure Rafa's relayed to DaHanG after yesterday's games where GaRpY kept a really respectable score against Rafa. 9-7 he lost, so he defeated GaRpY on a corrupt to keep. So just probably reminding him that, yeah, don't just see GaRpY as a walkover here, because he seems to be here to play and here to try and stay in this losers bracket. As GaRpY now has got a massive stack, and he does have that bull rush in the next 10 seconds. As GaRpY now just doing the switcheroo, just going back over to the top rocket area, realises that DaHanG is waiting for him. And I must say that we've seen a lot of Sorlag being played on XL, and I do like it. I think it's a great pick just overall, just got everything it needs, all the tools in order to get some of these items and the ability to recover from. Halfway in this matchup, both players with a similar stack, just DaHanG with that 3 frag lead.
We're only halfway through this map though, so plenty of time and opportunity for GaRpY to catch back up. It's also the one with the slightly better stack. Good rotation too, is stealing away the Mega from DaHanG this time around. Very patient too. Good play from GaRpY, not to just set up straight on the Mega, but instead projecting force once again, and now DaHanG dropping down. Good thing he is playing as the sword, like with that air control, helps so much around those dangerous stepping stones near the railgun. This is really not bad for the American. He could have gone for heavy, but instead decides to slow play it. Very reserved, very disciplined, just the way we know him. Doesn't want to put himself in risky situations, knowing very well that GaRpY, for the time being at least, is a better stacked player.
GaRpY's get some good damage done, whilst at the same time valuing his life, as well as his stack. But still though, he's given him a lot of opportunity to try and recover. Like, one rail will do it, and this is fantastic. This is a great position GaRpY's in now. Not only has he got full item control, but he's trying to keep his distance from DaHanG, knowing that he's relying heavily on these rails. Speaking of rails, 50% to the 36% of DaHanG. And LG's looking pretty much the same as well. We're going to see what GaRpY's going to be up to next. He knows that DaHanG's probably around that top rocket area. He's going to focus on the Mega first before contesting this heavy. Has height advantage as well. Just realised that he just went up the jump pad. That's going to be a direct for GaRpY. Sadly for DaHanG, he's going to have to tank all that damage and try and get away. Picking up all these lights. Managed to find him. Good ball rush. Does have to take on the split. But after all that, an interesting trade. Which assumed wasn't going to happen at first. But yeah, GaRpY's going to be not too pleased about that. But at least he's keeping his scores close and as competitive as possible.
That's an unfortunate trade from GaRpY. He really had the opportunity to win that one cleanly, or, well, of course, dropping quite a bit of damage, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, he could have gotten away with it without trading, but DaHanG held his own, landed some good rockets. His opponent was bull rushing straight at him. Now GaRpY really has an opportunity here. DaHanG is still railable. He just needs to find the angle, and quickly, because DaHanG is so good at stacking back up. One of the best timers in the game. You know that he's completely aware of when every single one of these items, including the small armors, is going to be back up. And it's up to GaRpY to find them before he can get comfortable and stacked up again. And at this point already, DaHanG is back up to 100-100. Here comes GaRpY. Rockets are bad, just not connecting. He needs more than this, and then the rail finds him. And just like that, DaHanG turns it around and puts himself in the driver's seat once more.
Oh, it's a shame. GaRpY had a massive stack. Having to deal with pressure. Oh, that was pretty good, but just not going to be enough. DaHanG comes out on top in that last engagement. 90 seconds left. He needs to take a few risks now, which is something he's not really too keen on, but does pick up the Mega, so it means that he can try and push. Oh, he took the direct straight afterwards here, Flea. DaHanG's on the low ground, but still dishing the dirt with the LG to back away again, heavy up in the next 12 seconds. But this is where some high risk, high reward plays needs to be made from GaRpY in order to try and cut chat from his free frag deficit.
This is going to be very difficult. Because GaRpY has found himself in really good positions to close the frag lead earlier, and now he's in a bad position. And since he didn't manage to do it back then, I'm very skeptical as to whether he could do it now. He had a few shots, but unfortunately, they were squandered. He wasn't able to find DaHanG on time, even though his opponent was at barely, what, 80 points of health, something along the lines of that. So, bit of a missed opportunity here and there for GaRpY. Really had it in him to at least tie it up, but just gave DaHanG too much opportunities to roam the map, stack up, collect the small armors before GaRpY took the fight. And then that was that one critical fight on the bridge near Mega, right? GaRpY missing 3 rockets in a row, doing essentially 0 damage, whereas DaHanG is pelleting him with LG. That sealed the deal.
And there we have it, a nice little suicide before the map does come to a conclusion. But I will say I was still impressed by GaRpY with how he was approaching the matchup. He had some fantastic clutch rails on a number of occasions. You can see that he notified 15, he made 8 of those count in a lot of those circumstances. Good item congestion as well. You can see 23 items to the 13 of DaHanG, just eating up all those lights. It's just you saw that DaHanG had a very strong recovery process from a lot of the engagements he was losing.
Yeah.
It's not something you normally see every day. And that was on NA East as well. So maybe GaRpY can bring something back on this on Veil. I said it before that both players are very keen on Exile anyway, which is why you saw it becoming quite a back and forth kind of matchup in terms of the frag distribution. But we'll have to see what happens on Veil. It could be a different kettle of fish. We'll have to see. But let's see what GaRpY can do to maybe even bring this back. But I'm not going to lie to you, even after seeing that scoreline and what we've seen from GaRpY, I have a lot more faith in him now than what we may have predicted before the series even began.
Yeah, indeed. That was still a very competitive game. GaRpY absolutely made his opponent work for it, and he still has it in him, I think, to deliver an upset. Is it likely? No, but it's very possible, and that would be quite something to see here on the B stream, because GaRpY, let's not forget, he didn't manage to win a single match during the weeklies, right, during the general stage. So if he were to be able to take down DaHanG now, that would be quite something, right? We've already seen Rafa drop down to the lower brackets earlier on, so if GaRpY could send the other Liquid player packing already, that would be a sight to behold. But DaHanG is looking good. He's going to pick Keel versus GaRpY on the Death Knight as we're about to load up Veil.
Yeah, it's funny as you say that as well. Yeah, not winning a single series. I think he only won like 2 maps overall throughout the Stage 3 Quake Pro League season in the EU region. I think 1 against Cooler and 1 against Sparty, I believe. That's just from the top of my head. But like I said, you're the Quakepedia, so I'm sure you can correct me if I'm wrong anyway. But
I think you might very well be right. It was something like that, yeah.
That makes a change anyway, at least. So that's the main thing. But yeah, guys, we're going on to Vale. Like Flea rightly said, it will be the kill versus the Death Knight. And if it does come to it and GaRpY takes map number 2, then we'll be going on to Ruins, where we will see the BGA versus the Anarchy. So we'll see if it comes to that first. It will be on EU West as the next server on this next map. And we'll see what GaRpY can do in comparison to that last map. We are going to be kicking things off from GaRpY's POV to see what shenanigans he's going to be up to. Already dropping down from that rail, just with a heavy machine gun as well. But hasn't really got anything like the LG or the rockets as of yet. So does need to keep his distance.
Nice opening rail. It already goes a long way towards equalizing that stack disadvantage that he is at, playing a medium champion versus heavy. Oh, that would have been one hell of an angle, Lethal. He was looking for it. He got a glimpse of him too, but was unable to react on time. Now, there isn't much of a delay between the items, so both players are just going to pick up the one that they started on. Good rail from DaHanG. That is clutch, because he is playing as the heavier champion with the bigger stack. Hitting one unreturned rail is so important to opening up the map. Oh, but GaRpY, loving the aggression.
Yeah, GaRpY didn't really want to take that engagement, but he's put in a bad spot. Oh, not a bad rocket. Oh, he came straight through as well. I say not a bad rocket. I shouldn't be surprised from GaRpY, really. Like I said, he is the rocket man after all. But then again, oh, that was lovely from GaRpY. Great way to start things off. But mind you, Flea, GaRpY did have a good start in the last map, and things went a bit peak-tong afterwards. But hopefully this time round, he'll be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more disciplined here, just standing his ground. But I like this from GaRpY, as GaRpY's not massively known for his aim skill, more known for his knowledge and his defensive plays, rockets, but also his adaptation. Yeah, that's good. Quite good adaptation here. But look at this. So he's got a massive stack now, and it depends on how he wants to go about this. Not able to get to the Mega in time, which is sad to say the least, but it does not matter, as he still has a slight edge to the stack as we're 2 minutes into this crucial game for GaRpY.
GaRpY was up to 82% railgun just a moment ago. Now, he missed a few shots since, but he came out so powerful with that weapon, barely missing anything, and that's a big part of the reason that he managed to get that first frag over DaHanG. Now, he doesn't seem eager to take a risk. He could have rocket jumped straight up, made a move on Mega as well, tried to get both of the items in his favor, but instead he's playing a more reserved approach towards the second map. Wants to find more of an organic way into full control. Maybe yet another fight at the right time that goes his way with rail or rockets. LG hasn't really been used all that much yet, but he now finds himself in a bad position. Tries to juke his opponent by using the teleporter. Nice little rocket jump. Good flame strike. That's going to cut off DaHanG. Beautiful play from the Maestro, man. The LG, solid, but actually pushes DaHanG out of the room. This is really promising by GaRpY.
Yeah, he did so much damage. I haven't seen this version of GaRpY in a good while, Flea, and it's a pleasure to watch. 3 minutes in, both players on evens footing in terms of stack, but this is a better chance for GaRpY to extend his lead. Misses the last rail, and DaHanG ties things up. May have an opportunity to trade. He full well knows that DaHanG's not going to try and stop him from getting the rockets if he wants to try and pick him up. Look at this, GaRpY's on the warpath. He can smell blood in the water. Good flame strike. This could be it for him, and yes, he does take the lead once again. Picking up the light as well, just to try and make a start on that recovery process. Heavy's up in the next 10 seconds.
I'm glad that he got the refrag there, because if he had only switched to just machine gun in that previous fight, he would have gotten the frag there as well. DaHanG was literally on 1 point of health, and GaRpY switched to the rail to try and finish it up. Anything else would have basically worked instantly, but wrong weapon, probably didn't realize just how low his opponent was, but he still finds the frag shortly after. And now there's 10 seconds between the items. Heavy is up first, and I think GaRpY realizes that he is outstacked right now. How is he going to approach this? Clearly he can't just jump onto Heavy yet. Wants to first soften his opponent up a little bit, just find a way into it, and he's actually just going to give it up and make his way for Mega. He knows that he can make this into a very defensible position with the high ground working in his favor, but still not going to commit to it. This is dangerous. This is dangerous because he had an opportunity to make a move on the item, but giving up a whole lot to DaHanG right now. Nice rails though. GaRpY staying very competitive, but he needs more.
And he's giving it. Oh, the pineapple straight afterwards. I must say, GaRpY's absolutely oozing with confidence. That rocket, luckily for him, it did push him back a bit, but didn't do a huge amount. DaHanG though still on the razor's edge here. He knows that GaRpY is pretty much playing out of his mind. Good adaptation, like I mentioned before. Good reads, good game sense, good prediction on the paths where DaHanG could be potentially taking. And also good contention of the items as well. It's been pretty much the same. GaRpY's made a full recovery now. Heavy's up any second now. He just picked it up. 5 seconds until the Mega comes. But look at this. DaHanG's realised that actually GaRpY's not really too bothered about the Mega due to the fact that he knows that GaRpY doesn't have time to get there. Using that Flame Strike, you've got to remember he's got those 4 hourglasses in that rail room. So he won't have to bother too much, but actually he hasn't actually picked up the hourglasses from what we've seen so far. It's just more focusing on creating a good, not flank, but just rotation away from DaHanG rather than going forward. So you know that DaHanG is going to be very aggressive on that push. Heavy is still up. DaHanG manages to pick it up, but it's actually rocket jump straight up. But look at that. GaRpY was ready for it. Still having to do a lot of damage. And look at this. The stacks are almost equal.
GaRpY's damage output has been sublime. He's nearly doing twice as much damage as his opponent right now. 2.5k for GaRpY versus 1.3 by DaHanG. That is an incredible difference 6 minutes into this map. If GaRpY can keep this up, even if he's unable to remain or rather regain full control of the items, he is still not in a bad position to just run away with the scoreline. But this is risky. Those rockets aren't connecting the way they should, and DaHanG finds his way on through. The Rocket Man doesn't get a clean liftoff there, Lethal, and it will be DaHanG slowly but surely closing the gap.
Even after tanking that rail, he still picked up the light and the Mega. That's GaRpY now. Just getting control. DaHanG's just on the mid ground here. Oh, he actually expected that as well. Good rocket. These rockets from GaRpY is just... yeah, it makes you wonder what's wrong with our rockets, really. I have to ask him at some point. 3 minutes left. Still 1 frag behind. But GaRpY knows that he may have to do a couple more frags just to try and take this up. But in the end, it's going to be DaHanG who wins that engagement. And look at GaRpY's going straight for the rockets. And new on spawn, he has to try and back away. It's going to be extremely tough to call. DaHanG almost managed to clean him up, but it decided to prioritize the Mega. Heavy's coming up in the next few seconds. Oh, this is not looking too good now. It's looking wonderful at one stage, but now it's the polar opposite.
Oh, out of absolutely nowhere, DaHanG drops down. GaRpY completely caught by surprise. And that was actually a really good decision by DaHanG to go for the Mega first, because if he had tried to chase GaRpY down, he very likely would have gotten the frag. But if he didn't, and he missed the next railgun shot, then GaRpY probably could have beaten him to Mega and stolen away the item. So very clever to just prioritize control, and that's exactly the kind of plays that we've come to expect from the Liquid boys. Very calculated, so disciplined. And now even delaying the Heavy slightly just to make it easier for him to get and rather remain in full control as we are entering the final 2 minutes at a tight scoreline.
DaHanG now just trying to get something from GaRpY, but GaRpY's just doing a great job just keeping his distance, and this is exactly what needs to be done, but he's doing it at perfect times. It's quite difficult on rail sometimes. Oh, he did a fair amount there, and I think he knows he's in a little bit of trouble, a spot of bother, but rails him back just to keep his, again, continue to keep his distance, and GaRpY's recovery process and the rotations he's making is just great, but this could be the final straw here, is now he's pinned down, and that is going to be it. DaHanG took a fair amount of damage during that last bout, but in 72 there, and GaRpY's just going straight in. He's only got 1 minute left. The rockets are looking very good, 49 HP. And GaRpY's after blood. Look at that, he can smell it. If he gets this, he can tie this up, and yes, he does. He manages to get it. Now on the rocket spawn, he realizes that DaHanG's just spawned there. Now needs to calm things down a little bit. The light is up if DaHanG decides to push in and engage. Mega's up in the next 5 seconds, and this is much closer than we anticipated here, Flea.
Indeed it is. GaRpY is still out-damaging his opponent significantly, but DaHanG has been landing the shots when he needs to the most, paired with excellent positioning. This is so risky, so ballsy! And yet, GaRpY dodges and weaves his way on through, avoiding all the pineapples and somehow finding the frag. Now he's only up to 35 points of health. DaHanG is rocket jumping aggressively behind him. Can he stay away? I don't think he can. Actually ends up dropping down. What is going on, GaRpY?
He's got 5 seconds left. He just needs to survive a little bit longer and 6 HP. Will he be able to do it? DaHanG just standing his ground. He's got 1 second left. He's come upside. He's actually taken him down literally on the final microsecond. But can GaRpY trade? Is he able to trade? He's decided to go for that mega. Makes a little bit more sense here. Wants to get full map control again before he re-engages with DaHanG. He knows he's on that recovery process, and we have to find out how close that was. I swear it must have been literally only a couple tenths of a second. Only just managed to go through that TP, but GaRpY's found him. Can he clean him up with the LG? He does not as of yet. He's backed away. We're almost back to square one.
DaHanG is a magician for making that comeback happen. So cool, so calm and collected. And now we're kind of back to the starting split. GaRpY over on the heavy side. DaHanG getting the mega. How is this going to pan out? Keep in mind, it is sudden death, it is overtime. One frag will seal the deal. GaRpY knows if he dies one more time, it's the end of his run in the Quake World Championships here at QuakeCon. That's a good rail. Good start. Heavy up in just a few seconds. Is he going to take the dive on it? DaHanG is nowhere to be found. And this might be an opportunity for GaRpY to get both of them. Goes for the aggressive rocket jump. Finds 1, 2 rockets. A little bit more will do it. But he actually overshot Mega.
Oh, no!
There we go!
Oh my god! Oh my god! What a mess that.
Okay.
That last fight was, my word. 60% rails from GaRpY. He did an additional 1,700 damage in comparison to his opponent. And that was not the climax I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit more, what's the word I was looking for? A little bit more construct, really. Some kind of way to maybe have it a little bit more organized in terms of that final fight. But I like that from GaRpY, where he actually preemptively used that flame strike, knowing that DaHanG was going to prioritize that straight after he picked up the heavy, and that was great, a great thought press there from GaRpY. And yeah, we're going to Ruins. We're going to map number 3. So both players, one of them have got to go hopefully at some stage. Like, you know, this is taking a mickey otherwise, as GaRpY has shown signs of life here. And like you picked upon earlier on, it's going to be funny with the fact that he only took 2 maps from the entire EU region of the Quake Pro League throughout the 13 weeks against the 9 opponents so he had to face. And he could take out DaHanG here 2-1. So, but going through the champions here, we've got the BJ for DaHanG, the Anarchy for GaRpY, and it will be on Ruins. Let me pick your brains a little bit, Flea, going into map number 3. How do you feel this is going to go?
Well, before I talk about that, I just want to point out that GaRpY just said in the lobby, 2 seconds, I need some water. That was stressful. He's like, I need a moment to catch my breath. And indeed it was, because for a moment it looked like GaRpY was set to take it all, right? He made it up there first, got a lot of damage, but then he overshot the mega. He falls down, and it's actually DaHanG who picks up the item as he comes back through the teleporter. So really messy to say the least. But yeah, indeed, we're getting it to the final map, as you just pointed out. Ruins of Sarnath, BJ by DaHanG versus GaRpY on the Anarchy. Interesting matchup, right? GaRpY is at a significant amount of risk. Playing a light champion on Ruins is notoriously difficult because getting those small armors when you're out of control is so important, and it's so easy to punish those as well, right? Because they're both out in the open in clear view of your opponent. So if DaHanG's railgun's on point, then it's going to be very difficult from GaRpY if he ends up being out of control. And of course, that dual wield, we all know Anarchy's Achilles heel is that super shotgun, double them, and there's basically nothing left of him in any close quarters engagements. Now, on the other hand, DaHanG has got to be careful not to fall behind. He's got nothing to work with in terms of movement ability. If he's down, say, 2 or 3 frags, and he's got to chase down an Anarchy in those final moments of the map, what are you going to do? There's almost no way you're going to catch out an opponent except for by laying traps, and I'm sure that GaRpY is going to do everything in his power to avoid them.
I like that from Hell. He's basically saying GaRpY likes to make it dramatic. It was dramatic, mate. I'm not gonna not going to lie, almost a cardiac arrest essential. But going to map number 3, yeah, we were talking about the champion picks, and yeah, it's gonna be a tough call. Like, even I feel like DaHanG's gonna feel a lot of that pressure if GaRpY gets up 1 or 2 frag lead, and the way he's been playing, it's like I said before, where was this GaRpY the last stage? Like,
Yeah.
even the stage 2 finals. Funny enough, when he was playing against Hell in the relegation match in the stage 2 finals, his GaRpY's aim was like really bad, but his movement was still good. So in that way, he was able to adapt his opponent. But this time round, he's got both now, so it looks like he's able to make a lot more of a push, maybe into this losers bracket. But if GaRpY defeats DaHanG, I don't think anyone would believe us unless they actually watch what's been going on so far.
Yeah, indeed. Now it looks like we need an extra moment. Gotta do a quick reset. So we started off on the NA server, which is the map that DaHanG won, and then we switched over to the EU server, which led to GaRpY winning, and now we are back on NA because I saw some people in chat talking about that. So this final map is going to be played on a North American server. So this is going to be hype, Lethal. Imagine if GaRpY, the man who secured no wins throughout the entire third stage, now ends up taking down DaHanG. Whew, that would be something else.
Who's playing on his PC? Tell us. But yeah, it's
hell.
It's something. Yeah.
Hell is a chat. I could see him there. He's just typing in between.
How dare you? How dare you? But yeah, it's just remarkable. It's been an incredible series. I think this was a series people would see probably as a write-off. Yeah, DaHanG's going to take this 2-0. Maybe GaRpY will keep the scores respectable from what we saw in GaRpY's match against Rafa. But apart from that, we're not really too sure. But no, complete opposite end of the spectrum from what we anticipated here. And this is what we love to see so far, considering GaRpY actually selected Exile, and both players have defeated each other on each other's territory. But I mentioned it before, both players were keen on Exile, and obviously going on to Vale, it's not something we assumed really. But again, for GaRpY, the amount he abuses those rockets and the projectiles, it's very good for him on a map like Vale with the narrow corridors and the choke points. But then again, DaHanG did have the kills, so can't really make too many excuses there. But Ruins is again, like I said, another kettle of fish. It's a much larger map. It's could be something where a lot more strategic values come into place, especially with the Anarchy as well, the mobility and speed. It depends when GaRpY is going to slow things down. If he gets that first or second frag lead, then DaHanG's going to be questioning, it's going to be panicking a little bit, thinking, well, yeah, I need to start closing this out quick, because he knows how good the rails have been from GaRpY, and he could consistently just keep him at bay with those clutch rails, stopping him for any kind of attack methods from here on out. So it goes. Map 3 will get underway. If you're just joining us on the B stream, GaRpY managed to take the second map to make things 1-1. And to be fair, both maps have been very, very close. It's been very hard to separate both of them in this grudge match. And it really is better to be a grudge match, really. But yeah, GaRpY's been playing out of his skull. DaHanG has been equally playing out of his mind. And it's very hard to call exactly how we're going to predict this outcome here, Flea.
Yeah, indeed. Now we are just setting up the match, getting back in lobby, making sure that we're on the right server and all that goodness, so that both players can play at their optimal pings going into this one. Now, just a quick reminder, right? This is the lower bracket, final map. Whoever loses is out of the tournament entirely. Whoever wins continues on and has to face a terrifyingly strong opponent, Xeniku. Xeniku barely managed to take it away from Cypher earlier, came really close in both of the matches, but that is who these players have to look forward to as a reward for staying in the league. Now, also on the A stream, just to keep you guys informed, Razy has managed to take away the first map against Kilson, so that game is going on there as well. So definitely get both of those screens open at the same time, because you don't want to miss a second of either of these matches. Now, hopefully we are loading into the series and are good to go now.
Yeah, I think they're just discussing about the latency at the moment. I think this could be just another test run. I'll wait to confirm that in a second, because I think GaRpY's ping was a little bit higher than he anticipated. I think normally it's around 79, 80, but instead it's about 100. So I think he's just trying to comprehend and see what the issue is, because obviously he's from the UK. Normally the ping around NAS is approximately between 75 and 90, but he just wants the best he can get, which is perfectly understandable. This is, his final map and potentially DaHanG's as well. It's pretty much their lifeline coming into this. But yeah, like Flea said, just to let you guys know that, Razy's up 1-0. Razy was actually up 1-0 at the start of the second map, but Kilson managed to bring it back 4-2, only a minute and a half left. So that game could also go to a third map. And what do you expect? This is day number 2 of QuakeCon. It's didn't expect anything less really coming into this matchup, but yeah, it looks like they have restarted. They have come out the server. So just wait a few more minutes, guys, for this GaRpY versus DaHanG matchup for map number 3, and yeah, it should be able to get underway very soon.
I mean, it is important, right? The way that the routing can work. This is the final map in the tournament for one of these players, right? So you want it to be as optimal as possible. Of course, at some point you do have to say, all right, here we go. This is the best it's going to be. But for the moment, we're still trying one more time, I think, to see whether we can get GaRpY just optimal routing to NA. Let's see what's this going to turn into. Now, Lethal, I think this has been a very exciting day of matches already.
Don't ask for my prediction, please. Just don't.
I mean, I just want to go over some of the things we've seen already, right? Avec taking down Rafa 2-1. What an incredible series. Cypher versus Zeneku was also some of the hypest Quake we've seen so far. Incredibly fast champion picks on all of the maps they played. And yeah, Wenger versus Sip, Kilson versus Waz. Yeah, the lower-seeded players from the NA that had to play the relegation games had no easy opponents after their initial victory, immediately going up against some of Europe's best as a sort of huge welcome back to the Quake Pro League. Now, hopefully we can finally kick things off with this map, and I think GaRpY has said that we are good to go. As we are loading into the final map, guys, at long last, we apologize for the delay, just had to sort out a few technical things here and there, but now we are really, truly kicking it off. We've got GaRpY, we've got DaHanG. Who stays and who leaves us in the Quake World Championships? Yeah,
one final map. No one would have predicted this in the slightest, and if you did, stop lying. Just don't. DaHanG, we're going to start for his POV, going straight towards that heavy, not going to dilly-dally around, he's not going to delay it at all, but he's realised that GaRpY has delayed the Mega, and let's see what DaHanG can do. And as he's just holding some of his angles, waiting for GaRpY to make the first move.
DaHanG immediately burning that dual wield. I think that immediately shows how he's approaching that ability, right? We've seen that previously as well. I think in his matchup against Cooler, I want to say, he also played the BJ, and he was always very quick to just use that ability in anticipation of where his opponent was going to be. Not the kind of player to wait until the actual fight breaks loose, but instead he wants to prioritize making sure that he has it available when the fight starts. Yes, there might be a few misfires here and there, but that's all worth it to him, as he's immediately pressuring GaRpY with a nice string of LG rockets, not really finding their mark, and GaRpY, by using the injection, is actually the one with the better stack after that fight.
Yeah, let's see what DaHanG can do here. Looks like the heavy delay just a little bit. Just gives GaRpY some breathing room to maybe dish some damage onto DaHanG, but it's not going to happen. DaHanG's already far enough, and the beautiful rails again from GaRpY. DaHanG has to back away. How is GaRpY going to approach this? He's actually gone straight towards the courtyard, and he's still holding that. Was top mid, but now he's gone to the LG area, but he realizes that he's probably around that light, maybe going to the tri-bolt room, and he's going to be peeking on out, but DaHanG's just dipping him back and forth through the TPs. Heavy's still up as well.
Oh yeah,
DaHanG's actually made the assumption, but oh, do you know what? That made me cough when I saw that, as he managed to take the rail as he was going for that rocket jump. That was perfect timing there. Look at this, GaRpY just going straight in. He can extend his lead here, and now he's up 1 to -1.
Indeed it is. DaHanG kind of fumbled his movement getting onto Mega. Probably shouldn't have gone for it, but even then, if you drop down and you go to that little teleporter, you're still caught in a really bad position if you allow your opponent to take away the item. Now, we're also kind of seeing another upside of DaHanG using that dual wield quickly. It allows him to pick up a lot of the hourglasses as well, and that's something you definitely want to deny. I discussed that in one of the earlier matches as well. You don't want to give your opponent too many hourglasses. I talked about this on Doomslayer versus Anarchy, with Xenaku versus Cypher. You really have to be careful not to allow an Anarchy too much leeway, because he can build the stack very quickly.
Where was this GaRpY the last 3 months? Where has he been? He's definitely shown up and really absolutely given it, and you just love to see it as well. 3 minutes in, DaHanG on the back foot, which is something no one would have expected here, and I'm sure a lot of channel points would have been lost if predictions came through on this stream. But GaRpY's now backing away, has that inject in his back pocket, just holding that choke point in case DaHanG does make the attempt to push on towards that Mega. But the Heavy will be up first, come up the next couple of seconds. I think DaHanG's realised that from the rocket raining down, so it means he's got free roam onto that Mega. Just working on his ammo management as well. This is looking very good from GaRpY. Very methodical, but also very aggressive at the same time. Just keeping DaHanG on his toes. And as soon as he smells any kind of advantage, you can tell that GaRpY isn't hesitating as much as he used to.
Now, if you look at the damage output, we can see that DaHanG has barely done 400 points of damage, whereas GaRpY is sitting at over 1,000 already. But that might soon change, because the American has found a way to secure both Mega and Heavy. This is a good start. He can start a rotation. Now that railgun is going to help tremendously. Make it 2. GaRpY no longer in any position to stick around. Can't even show his face to go for a shot of his own. And has to make a run for it.
Yeah, it certainly does. And like we said, it's got mobility and the speed. And this is the worst predicament you could be in, especially against the Anarchy. And look at a good defensive rockets. He actually dropped straight down. Actually did, I think that was a 58 and a 42. But he is railable. He needs to be really careful. Don't get me wrong, you can take a few risks with this lead, but honestly, any lead you can get against DaHanG, please try and hold it for as much as you possibly can. The Mega is up. Nice. It just tanked that last rail. It's going to be dropping down. Heavy's up in the next 15 seconds here, Flea, and this is what GaRpY just needs to do. Just needs to waste as much time as possible. Just keep DaHanG guessing, and you know, when you do find the predicament to go for these items, of course, go for it. But make sure you can actually grab it by a clear mile.
And this is the situation that I was talking out before we went live, right? What if you have to chase down an Anarchy on a large map like this while you're only playing as BJ? That is incredibly difficult to do. DaHanG has to approach this in a very tactical way if he wants to catch his opponent off guard. I like how GaRpY is rather quick on just using those injections just to get that overstack when he expects DaHanG to maybe be coming towards him. Clever plays, but he still doesn't have any sort of armor to work with whatsoever. He hasn't had a shred of it for the past minute or so, but that mobility alone is helping him out significantly. His awareness is good, constantly playing this evasive game. But the problem is, Lethal, is that we're not even 6 minutes in. That's a lot of time left for GaRpY to burn just by playing plus back.
Yeah, 4 minutes to GaRpY, it's going to feel like an absolute lifetime for him. And yeah, he did get that first frag. Finally, took a bit of time here, Flea, but managed to grab it. But DaHanG still got full control of the items. Realised where GaRpY is, but look at that, already managed to get away. Just a couple of things he needs to take note of. GaRpY just needs to make sure not to get trapped in that courtyard or somewhere around that tri-bolt area. And this is exactly what he's doing, just making sure he's listening out for the cues, knows exactly where he is, just trying to keep his distance, playing cat and mouse. He's got to do it for 3 minutes and 40 seconds here. He's also at the same time waiting for an opening, waiting for one of his items not to be free, but maybe to get enough chip in order to make that crucial attack to then maybe to make that comeback here. But like you said, look at that. It's already on the Mega. Managed to grab it in the end. And then weapons to his arsenal as well. DaHanG just standing his ground. GaRpY's in big trouble, but some great rockets there. If he hits this well, DaHanG actually came out on top in that last engagement. So GaRpY now only up by 1 frag. And slowly but surely, DaHanG slowly creeping up on him in terms of scoreline.
That's a strange decision by GaRpY. Oh, okay, at least the trade comes out. DaHanG definitely could have dropped more than that just there, but yeah, few strange decisions by some of these players. Like GaRpY, when he was caught out, stealing away the Mega, instead of just running out of the room, which he easily could have done, he decided to go for rockets and try to make a stand there, which is rather confusing decision. It's those moves that might give his opponent the leeway DaHanG needs to finally tie it up.
Oh, this is crucial for DaHanG.
Yeah. GaRpY will pick up heavy.
Very tough now because DaHanG is out on the back foot, isn't he, Flea? Which means that he has to be the one to just buy this time. But look at the segregation of the items. This is perfect for GaRpY, but DaHanG really needs to pull something out the back in order to... Oh, he's actually got perfect rockets on him here, but sadly they actually don't connect. What it meant was he was actually holding a great angle, but he just came a bit too quick around the corner. 2 minutes left until we could potentially see one of the biggest upsets here.
Can a GaRpY run down the clock? That's what this is all coming down to. He was hanging on to item control for a while, but I think he's given up on that entirely now. Having ceded both the heavy and the mega to DaHanG. Nice little rail, but takes a bad one in return. DaHanG still has a solid opportunity here. This is such a very delicate balance to strike when you're DaHanG, because on the one hand, you need to continue picking up the items. You can't just leave them up because you know that GaRpY is just going to pick them up and run away with them. But on the other, you still need to chase and find that frag. And that rail is definitely going to help. That was a beautiful shot of Verdi straight down. This is one of the things that DaHanG is so good at. Such a tactical, calculated player who can definitely run both the items and apply pressure. But those rails, they need to connect. So far they are, but he finds GaRpY. GaRpY is not leaving! Again, second time in a row that GaRpY seems to find himself in a position where he could have gotten it out, but just decides to stand his ground.
Yeah, he was in a bit of a tough predicament here, but GaRpY can still gain the lead if he'd like to. Oh, that was very close, but DaHanG has the tiniest stack advantage. Mega's actually up. GaRpY has to pick up the rockets. DaHanG's team can try and get the flank and made the right read, but GaRpY also took the right route. DaHanG just, again, trying to find an open. Good rocket here. This is GaRpY's chance now. Not anymore, especially after picking up that heavy. 20 seconds left now.
Both players had a kill shot opportunity. Neither one connected. GaRpY, is he going to push on through? He's got to be so careful. He wants the mega, but he knows that DaHanG is covering his bases quite well. Now DaHanG drops down. GaRpY doesn't even know it yet. Figures it out eventually and does secure the item. He's got a stack advantage to work with and is the first one over on the heavy. This is all in the hands of the Maestro player, the British Bulldog. But DaHanG is looking for those hourglasses. Wants to deny the heal plus have that dual wield available as a defensive tool rather, and is now clutching it out on such an important position. That T, that choke point into the mega room, and that railgun is basically going to guarantee him mega. This is how DaHanG plays. He doesn't want to go for one big fight already. He wants to find a good position, land a shot, and then just take over the rotation that his opponent started before he closes the web. But the rockets just aren't connecting, and GaRpY will succeed at picking up at least the heavy now.
This has been a very drawn-out series. If you guys are just watching, it's one frag to determine who's going to stay in this tournament so far. And second sudden death out of these 3 maps, which have been played out so far, and it could be a little bit longer here. No, also we say neither player able to gain that full map control. GaRpY finally manages to retake the lead in terms of stack, but now DaHanG's the one who's grabbed the heavy here, so stack is going to be equal. Mega's up in the next 12 seconds. He's actually pushing to that choke point, and GaRpY's waiting to see if DaHanG's there or not. Hasn't really got the info he needs, but will realise that DaHanG's just sitting there on the staircase, just waiting or daring GaRpY to push on forward, and DaHanG will win that battle for the mega. Just preemptively using that duel to see if GaRpY will react, but she has not, and he's the one who actually picks up the heavy here.
DaHanG is, in my opinion at least, one of the most gifted out-of-control players in all of Quake. He's so good at it. You can just watch him play, and it's like textbook perfect play. Can he now close it out? Mega isn't up for another 5 seconds, so GaRpY can't just pick it up and make a move. So this will be DaHanG securing Mega. I think he's just going to go for heavy instead. Yeah, he doesn't want to chase. He knows he can't keep up with the speed. The rockets need to be good. He deals a decent amount of damage, and now DaHanG will be the one with the greater stack once more. 2 minutes into overtime. And now it is the American who is cycling the items, and GaRpY desperately looking for any sort of opportunity to maybe steal one away or do some damage. Wants to deny entry into the Mega Room, but won't do much, won't do anything. This is risky. Can GaRpY get out? Stuck in such a bad spot.
Oh, he certainly is. This is one of the worst spots to be in. Courtyard's probably the worst spot, but this is definitely the second worst. It's just a matter of patience for DaHanG to catch GaRpY off guard, but he knows he's still there. But I like this from GaRpY, just shooting a lot of rockets out just to keep him at bay, but he's actually dropped down. Will he be able to find him? No, he does not. And both players are actually going towards the heavy, which means that GaRpY is able to back away once more. The Mega is still up, but at least GaRpY manages to pick up that Mega. Still needs to find the lights to his name note. 3 minutes into sudden death so far, Fleas. Still not able rather to separate both of these players here, and both of them having a few missed shots now, and it's going to take that one rail or two rails to decide the outcome, to do enough chip to make that progression. And both players on a similar stack. 3.5 minutes in, both missed a rail, but you can see they finally hits it, and GaRpY actually had the LG out at the time, but he's going to be pretty pleased about it considering he finally gets back that heavy.
DaHanG actually getting himself the Nat Master medal, which quite clearly illustrates how well he's been playing for these past few minutes, not giving up an inch. And now we're also seeing just that experience and the endurance coming into play, right? This is already nearly 50% longer than your usual game. It becomes increasingly more difficult to remain focused at that same level as you were at the beginning. But neither of these players are giving an inch. They are so focused, so committed. One frag is going to decide it all. GaRpY gets heavy, DaHanG gets mega, shots are being exchanged. But nothing really comes of it.
Could have made this up if he tried. 4 minutes 20 into this sudden death. GaRpY with the tiniest stack. Heavy's up in the next few seconds. Looks like GaRpY's taking the risk to go for it. Realizes that DaHanG's not going to be contesting it, but is holding the angle to see if he actually comes up the staircase, which he does not. And even though GaRpY's found him, DaHanG has hit that first rail to keep him at bay, and now is firing those rockets to stop GaRpY from pushing in inside that choke point. So now DaHanG's going to be actually popping down to the heavy early. He's changing things a little bit here and getting ready for this heavy, but he's purposely not making any noise. So if GaRpY does drop down quite early, then he knows, though. He has a feeling that he's probably down there, and he made the right read. Good stuff from GaRpY, but he's actually just tanked that rail, and you can see that DaHanG's going straight for it, misses that last rail. GaRpY to try and get away, but it's actually GaRpY gets taken down. DaHanG takes him out. That's such a shame. That was so close from actually eliminating DaHanG from the tournament. And yeah, what can you say about that?
This is the best that we've seen GaRpY play, I feel like, in months.
Absolutely,
right? This was
100%.
a phenomenal performance, but DaHanG just proved to be a little too strong for the British Bulldog. Now, there were some serious signs of life, but I got increasingly worried the longer this went on, because that is where DaHanG shines so brightly, right? That long-term planning, not overextending, just sticking to his own guns, slowly getting in full control and choking your opponent out of resources, out of positioning, and then just at the perfect timing, capitalizing of everything that you've brought together at that time. So the longer that game went on, the more I was starting to get fearful for GaRpY, but that was a beautiful finisher from DaHanG. Those two quick rails with the BJ dual wield, very difficult to hit because you're so accustomed to that normal rhythm of the railgun that using the dual wield can really throw people off. So beautiful plays from DaHanG. First, he clutches it out into overtime on Veil of Nav, right? 0.0 seconds left to get the frag, and then now he landed some beautiful shots to clean this one up as well. So a deserved victory for the Liquid player.
This is definitely one I'm going to rewatch, especially, yeah, that Veil game. It must have been 1/10 of a second until he took it to sudden death. I feel like every single game, every single map in this series just went to sudden death. It felt like a best of 7, like anything else. It took that long, but you know, it was a real treat, real pleasure to watch. I hope you guys enjoyed it at home as well, as GaRpY was so close, was up 2 to -1 at one stage. And like I said before, those 4 minutes you try and stay away, it can feel like a lifetime, especially when you're in the position that GaRpY was in. But good job by DaHanG. Commiserations to GaRpY, who will be knocked out of the tournament. but he definitely impressed us and played really well nonetheless. But that's all we've got time for from this match. I think we have Sib versus Maxter coming up next, so stay tuned on the B stream. We'll be back very shortly.